Look at your hands, feel the warmth flowing through every vein. Feel the beating of your heart and the air rushing into your lungs. You exist, but imagine a future so incredibly distant that the numbers we use today no longer possess the strength to count the vast, stretching eons of time. When everything you know, everything you can touch, is nothing but a fog of memory. Welcome to Strange World Archives. Today, we will open the final chronicle of the universe, not to speak of its beginning, but to seek the answer to the greatest mystery. When time dies, what will remain? Science has always been obsessed with the end of reality. We have reached 100 trillion years after the Big Bang, a staggering 10 to the power of 14 years into the deep, dark future. Welcome to the era of great decay, where the universe begins its final drifting journey, slowly descending into the cold embrace of absolute oblivion. Our own sun has been dead for a long time. And the great stars of the past have also burned themselves out. The final supernovas have completed their violent dances, leaving behind nothing but the cold, silent ruins of what was once a magnificent celestial theater. All that remains on the horizon are the red dwarfs, the last embers of the universe, emitting a faint, dying light into the hungry darkness. Amidst this desolation, physics reveals a remarkably cruel truth. Even the hardest substances cannot survive the end of time. White dwarfs, the cooling corpses of once mighty suns, are slowly crystallizing into massive diamonds. They float aimlessly through the void, like forgotten giant jewels. A universe overflowing with planet-sized diamonds, yet without a single pair of eyes left to admire their beauty. The eternity of a diamond is nothing more than a beautiful illusion. Even the strongest bonds of matter must eventually surrender to a slow decay. We enter the Degenerate Era, where the most basic building blocks of matter, the protons themselves, begin to unravel and dissolve into the cold nothingness. The cores of these diamond stars crumble into subatomic dust, vanishing into a vacuum that no longer possesses the energy to hold them together. Every star was once a brilliant chapter in the great chronicle of life. Now, the pages are catching fire in a state of absolute deafening silence. Yet the scientific community still faces a massive blind spot. When matter decays, when light fades, the universe is still not entirely empty. We enter the dark, heavy era of black holes. They are the final kings of the cosmos, massive, invisible entities ruling over the void, using the absolute power of gravity to crush everything. They are just spheres of pure darkness. the unsolved mystery remains. Is darkness immortal? Stephen Hawking left a profound legacy for humanity when he proved that even the most powerful darkness has its limits. By the year 10 to the power of 100, even black holes cannot remain immortal. Through the process of Hawking radiation, these masters of the dark begin to evaporate, bleeding their mass out into space, one tiny quantum particle at a time, at an astonishingly slow pace. After trillions of years, the last supermassive black hole shrinks, emits a final blinding flash of light. Vanishes from the fabric of reality. When the final gatekeeper leaves its post, the door to physical reality will close forever. The era of matter and gravity finally comes to an end. Stay with me and pause for a moment. Amidst the cold space of the black hole era, let's return to the inner world of humanity. Why does thinking about the disappearance of all things always bring a suffocating and anxious feeling? Modern psychology points out that the entire emotional foundation of human beings is built upon attachment. We cling to the material things around us, magnificent cities, accumulated wealth, solid stone monuments. We build our personal identities based on careers, reputation, and the validation of others. We fear emptiness. We fear being forgotten. We do everything we can to leave our mark on this world, because deep down, the human brain cannot accept the concept of nothingness. But when weighing that attachment against the inevitable laws of the universe, it suddenly becomes incredibly small and trivial. Stay with me and pause for a moment. Amidst the cold space of the black hole era, let's return to the inner world of humanity. Why does thinking about the disappearance of all things always bring a suffocating and anxious feeling? Modern psychology points out that the entire emotional foundation of human beings is built upon attachment. We cling to the material things around us, magnificent cities, accumulated wealth, solid stone monuments. We build our personal identities based on careers, reputation, and the validation of others. We fear emptiness. We fear being forgotten. We do everything we can to leave our mark on this world, because deep down, the human brain cannot accept the concept of nothingness. But when weighing that attachment against the inevitable laws of the universe, it suddenly becomes incredibly small and trivial. You're suffering today. The pressures that keep you awake every night actually stem from the illusion of eternity. You suffer over a broken relationship because you once believed it would last forever. You are exhausted by societal expectations because you believe those metrics are immutable. But the universe is teaching us a cruel yet liberating lesson. Every form composed of matter must eventually say its final goodbye. Look at the fading of the diamond stars. Look at the evaporation of the massive black holes. Separation is not a tragedy. It is a journey home. Decay is simply the act of all things returning what they once borrowed from the void, to ultimately go back to their original, perfect state of rest. In its endless wandering through the void, the universe's last photon happens to cross a specific coordinate in space, a place that was once very special. Billions of years ago, at this exact coordinate, there once existed a small blue rock. It once had rolling oceans, vast green forests, and a species that dared to look up at the sky. Every great achievement, every bloody war, every fallen empire, and every single moment of human love and betrayal happened right here in this now silent spot. Every teardrop that fell and every smile that was shared was once a ripple in the fabric of eternity. Though their fate is to be forgotten, they once carried a profound meaning in their own time. The anxieties that once weighed down a lifetime. The pressures of success and the pain of loss. Have all been erased by the universe's vast scale. Our lives and all our struggles were but a tiny electromagnetic vibration, a solitary heartbeat in an ocean of forgetfulness, which has now claimed everything we ever knew. This truth might feel terrifying. But it is also the ultimate liberation. When you realize that nothing lasts forever, you no longer need to hold on to things so tightly. You will learn to loosen your grip. You will realize that the fact that you are breathing, feeling pain, knowing how to love, is the most rare and magnificent event. And in a cooling universe, we were here once. We once existed in the light. And for a brief moment in the history of the cosmos, that was enough of a miracle. Our photon begins to lose its energy, as its wavelength is stretched by the expansion of space. From visible light, it turns into an endless radio wave. It dissolves into the very texture of space itself. The universe does not end with a bang, but with a soft, gentle sigh of relief. We have reached the heat death. Energy is distributed so perfectly that no heat can flow, and no work can ever be performed again in this void. All the chaos, Star Wars, and all the cycles of life and death have finally settled into a state of perfect, holy silence. The final memory of the void is silence. A silence that does not feel like death, but rather like the primordial peace, where everything was first born, and then there is nothing. Time has no meaning anymore. Because there is nothing left to change, nothing to measure, and no one left to witness it. Time is only the ghost of movement, without the stars, without the planets, without us. Time is just an empty vessel with nothing left inside. The archive of the universe has been closed. The cosmic record is complete, and the grand story of existence has reached its final page. The archivist has put the book away. There is no one left anywhere to tell this story again. The story has been written. The ink is dry. The book is closed. And the shelf of eternity is now filled with the stories of the stars. Silence is now the only sound. Stay in this quiet moment. Let the weight of the universe's final breath sink deep into your soul. As you realize the ultimate beauty of existence. The end of all things is not the end of the miracle. It is the final, perfect rest that follows a life lived to the fullest. Good night, universe. And to you, a peaceful sleep.